Hello. Good morning. Good morning. I hope you guys are good. It's Tuesday. I have to keep reminding myself because I feel like the days are going so quickly. Hi, George. Okay, so today we're going to do these little fan things at the bottom down here. 5 little guys. And I'm going to go a little bit OTT. Not like me, huh? I've just prepared that so I don't have to do it later. So I'm going to use these colors for the leaves. I'm going to do half of it, this light teal, and then the other half a dark teal. So they'll go here and here. Then I'm going to do a little outline with a darker color. This is optional if you don't want to. And then for the little dots here, I'm just going to use a white and do a couple little stitches there. So I think it'll look nice. I hope. You do not have to use these colors. You can use any colors you want to. You also don't have to do the half and half. You can do all the leaves one color. You don't have to do the outline. It's like a choose your own adventure type situation. So what we're going to do is use 3 strands, which I've already separated them out so I don't have to do it in the video. And we're going to use a stem stitch. So the stem stitch is going to give you a nice bit of texture instead of using the satin stitch for everything. It's really nice fill stitch. It's great for lettering. It's great for outlines. It's like very versatile. So let's zoom in here a bit. And I'm wearing the same exact shirt from yesterday, so that's probably why you saw it on the bottom. So for the stem stitch, I like to stitch on the hump, okay? So you'll know what I mean in just a minute. So if your curved line is going this way, so like up, like the hump is this way, like a rainbow, then you're going to put your loop on the hump like this. Now for the other side, it'll be the other way. So it's actually like the hump is now this way. See? So your loop will go on that side and we'll fill it in kind of in lines until we fill it in the whole way. So let's get started. So I got my 3 strands here and the stem stitch, I really like it. This is going to be really awkward, isn't it? Why did I do it like that? There we go. That's a little bit better. It is going to rain like any second here. Oh, it's already started. So that's why it's so dark. So I apologize. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up you can come up at the bottom here, or you can come up at the top here. Doesn't matter. And we're going to do 1 stitch length. Okay. They don't have to be really short because it's a nice gradual curve. So if you have a really tight curve, like up here, or even in here, you'll make your stitches really, really small. But because it's like a nice gradual curve, we can make them a good size. And I'm using 3 strands, but if you like a lot of texture, you can use more. I probably wouldn't go less. Okay, so you're gonna make your loop and don't pull it down all the way. So you want to keep a loop here because we need to see between these 2 stitches. So what we're going to do next is come up in the middle of these 2 stitches. So almost like in that right halfway. Okay. And then we can pull that loop. And then we do another loop. Now this is where people get a little bit confused, but the length of this stitch here to here should be the same as this one here to here. So actually we're only going up like half. Yeah? Because we've got halfway here to here, and then we need halfway here to here. So we're going to make another loop. Do our little half. Yeah? And then come up right where you went down to make your first stitch there. See? Got a knot. Oh, humble. It keeps you humble, doesn't it? When you're doing a little tutorial and then it's like, ha, just kidding. And then you do that all the way down, all the way to the point. So we're trying to keep our stitches about exactly the same, about exactly. And again, this is where if you drew it a little bit wonky and you want to fix it, this would be the perfect time to do that. So if you need to do a little drawing beforehand, you'll often see me do that as well, because sometimes when I trace it, I'm like, oh yeah, I did a good job. And then I look at it later, I'm like, oh, okay. Okay, and then I like to do a little half stitch at the very end. Like that. And then this is where you can make a decision if you want to go from this tip all the way back, or if you want to just start again down here and do another pass. So I tend to like to go from left to right because I stitch better that way. But if you want to, you can do the exact same thing, but go from right to left. So you kind of fill in this way, and then the next row you fill in this way, and then the next row you fill in this way, and then like kind of back and forth. But I just work better this way. I tend to be able to work faster like this. So you're just going to fill it in. And like I did yesterday, I'll do one full leaf. Oops. And we'll just see how far we get. Now, if you're like, this is too much work, Tori, I do not want to do this, then don't do it. You can fill it in with a satin stitch just like we did yesterday. And that would be fine. Like, you do not have to use the exact same stitches. You could also get a little practice hoop if you wanted to. So I often do that when I'm like practicing or not practicing, I'm sampling new patterns and stuff. If I'm like, ooh, I think I might want to, hello, is that Krista? If I want to just see like what it would look like before I actually do it. Aw, I used to teach Krista in Shanghai. It does go quicker though, like the more that you are a little bit confident, and you do not need to worry about all these little dots that we're covering up or ovals or whatever. We're just going to make it up later. So you can use, you can use the pattern and have a look again to see like where I've put them, but I didn't like trace a plant or anything like that. I literally just made them up. So anywhere you want to put them is fine. There's no right or wrong. And then we'll do the exact same thing with the other color on the other side. I think this gives such a nice texture to the plants. I think you'll soon find out if you like the texture in your piece or if you do not like it. Some people love it and they're like, oh, give me all the texture. I want to see it all. So this is kind of why I do the half stitch at the end, because if not, sometimes it doesn't actually catch all the way and do that like kind of twisty look. It just kind of goes straight across. And that's why I was saying earlier that if you've got a really tight curve like here, oh, you can't see that one, like here, you really need to make those stitches small. And that way it'll lay nicer. Krista, I'm so happy you're still strongly pursuing art. You're so great at it. The same to you. Because Krista and her sister are both amazing artists. Like, honestly, way better than I'll ever be. They're fantastic. And they're so lovely too. Because if you remember, I used to teach art in Shanghai. Okay, so maybe 1 or 2 more here, and then we can go on to the other color on the other side. Need to make my tail shorter, eh? Hello from Australia. Hello, hello. Are you guys still in a lockdown there? Because I thought I read that you guys went back into a lockdown. Okay, lovely. Ooh, she says in some states, but not mine. Okay. I always get confused about like the different states in Australia, and like, because they're so big, aren't they? And so now we'll flip it around this way and do the other. Wait, you don't have to flip it around like this. I like to do it because, like I said, I work better when the thread is on the hump up like that and then going left to right. So for me, I like move my hoop all over the place when I'm stitching. So if you can do it different ways, then you can like, you know, move it around. So I'm getting 3 strands of the other color. Oh gosh. Ooh. You'll learn that I always make my thread too long. Like always. So I just put an extra long tail. Krista says, how did you get into cross stitching? Okay, so cross stitching is with the X's to make a picture. And this is more of an embroidery. So we have like cross stitching is an embroidery stitch, if that makes sense. I know some people get really like, I don't do cross stitching. But I don't care because I think it's quite fun. Cross stitching is quite fun too. I just can't do the counting. You know, like you have to count, you just count so many, like 5 up and 3 over, do your X. I can't do it. But yeah, actually I started because I wanted to make a wedding gift for a friend. And I was like, oh, I lose count, Mel. Yeah, exactly. Exactly the same. And I was like, oh, I bet I could do that. Like, I'll just give it a go, you know? And if I don't make anything, I don't make anything. And if I do, I can give it to them. And I did. And I gave it to them and they were like, we love it. It's so great. And I was like, oh. I was like, maybe I'll do another one. So I did another one. And I was like, I bet I could do other stuff. Like, I bet I could like make hoops for people. Like if they get married, put them in their house or whatever. And then from then I just was like, I bet I can make patterns. I was a teacher. I'm good at teaching. I bet I could teach people this. So I started doing patterns. And then I was like, hey, I bet I could do videos. Just always believe you can do it. Give it a go. Why not? So if you notice at the tip here, I'm just doing a little small one to keep with the same, keep with the same illusion that the lines are all going together. So I'm still doing one halfway. I'm just kind of tucking it under there a little bit. And then on the other side, I'm just coming up on the other side of that little guy there. And then continuing. Now mine is going to look a little bit weird because I've actually chosen the color that's quite close to the color of my fabric, and that's why I need to, well, I don't need to, but I'm going to add a little outline to it, and that will make it like pop up off the fabric a little bit more. So whenever you've like chosen a color that's a little bit off or a little bit like, oh, I didn't realize that, you can often fix it with an outline. It doesn't have to be the same color outline. It can be a contrasting color outline, or it can be just a completely different one. Like I could outline in pink or purple or something. And don't forget, it's a jungle. Like, so you're allowed to have all kinds of, so you're allowed to have like all kinds of like untraditional colors. You know, it doesn't have to be like all the greenery, all the plants are green, because all the plants are green, you know? Like make it, that's okay there. Make it your own. They can be different colors. And these probably will take a little bit longer than like the normal like 30 to 45 minutes of stitching. So just do one, see how long it takes, and you can always catch up at the weekend. And if you don't catch up, that's okay too. Like, don't worry. If you pick your colors ahead of time, so like if you know what colors you want to use for these, then at nighttime, because the light is not good at nighttime, often colors will look different. So just beware. I've often stitched, like, I've told this story so many times, you're probably like, oh, we already know. But I've often stitched like a name in a dark blue instead of a black, because at nighttime the dark blue and black look really similar. So it's really easy to choose the wrong color at nighttime. So if you know you're going to do some nighttime stitching, definitely choose your colors, and often I'll put them in a little basket like this one. I've got all my colors here, and I just throw my hoop in and it's all ready to go. So that way, if I ever want to stitch in the evening, I've got everything there already, you know? I don't have to root around for all the colors and try and find them. I do sell this pattern. This is not a pattern though, it's a stitch along. So when you buy the pattern, there's no instructions. You have to come to the video either here, which is live at 10 a.m. Monday through Friday, or you can wait until later where the videos are on IGTV, which is here on Instagram, or on YouTube. So the prep video and yesterday's video are up on YouTube now. I uploaded them. Well, it was supposed to go last night, but it froze. So I've just done it again this morning and it's gone through. So hallelujah. Good morning, Hannah. So yeah, that's kind of the difference between a pattern and a stitch along. People get a little bit confused sometimes. But the stitch alongs have no instructions. You have to watch the videos. And the patterns have the instructions on them already. So they'll have the stitches that you need to use, the colors you need to use. There's little diagrams of each of the stitches. Some of the older patterns even have like a photo step-by-step instructions. But I stopped doing it because the file gets way too big and it takes a really long time to make them. Because I could only stitch them in the daytime for the pictures, and then, so I thought something has to give, and it just has to be this, and I'm sorry, but the patterns still have loads of information in them, so. Oh, this is gonna look so good. Okay, let's flip her over. I'll do a little knot, and then you can decide after this, like what you want to do. Like if you want to add the outline, or if you want to add like the white kind of dots in there. It's totally up to you. And that's kind of like the best part about seeing these stitch along patterns is because there's no like instructions in the pattern. It makes people kind of think, huh, what else could I do with this? Like, oh, I could use different colors, or I could do a different outline or whatever. Okay, so I'm going to use, this is 218 from Anchor, and it's just like a darker color green. I'm going to zoom it out just a wee bit. I'll move it over so you can actually see it. And then we'll add some little white accents. Like a light pink would be quite cute as well, actually, now that I'm looking at it. Some little pink spots. Maybe like some purple spots could be quite fun. There was a really, really light pink over here, and I was like, ooh. I don't actually see it now. Like this one is like so light. It's almost white, but it's just a light pink. So I think blue would look cool too, actually. So there's lots of things you can do with this. I love 218. Yes, me too. It's like such a perfect, like dark green. And I'm going to take just 2 strands and do a little stem stitch outline around it. And then you can see what it looks like. And then you can decide for yourself what you would like to do, you know? Because there's no rules. Like there's no rules in embroidery. I think that's why I get a little bit like riled up when people are like, this is the way you do it. I'm like, you can do it however you want to do it. Like, you know, or someone will be like, oh, you're doing it wrong. It's like, no, I'm just doing it the way that works for me. You do it the way that works for you. Like we're all different, and that's totally fine. Like there's no right or wrong. So you do you, baby girl. It's all right. I know, right, Hannah? Hannah says the light pink is so cute, and I might have to actually do that because it's like such a subtle color. It's like not so like boom pink, but Krista says, wow, you make it look so easy and quick. I'm just such a great teacher. Okay, so I'm just going to turn it back how it was before. And I've got just 2 strands now. Okay, exactly the same. I'm just going to go really close to this. So before we had 3 strands, and now I've just got 2. So you'll notice it will have a thinner line here. Are you using DMC or another type of thread? I have all kinds of different threads. So anything from Cosmo to DMC, Anchor. I have some Trebla threads in here. There's some, oh, what's that other brand? The UMC that I got sent. There's some of those. I don't separate them at all. Some people like to separate them and keep all their DMC together, all their Anchor together. I don't. I use whatever thread that I like the color of. Because DMC has some that Anchor doesn't have, and Anchor has some that DMC doesn't have. So really, I always feel like if you're only committed to one brand, you're kind of selling yourself short. Oh, gosh. Oh. Do you know what? I was listening to a YouTube like channel the other day with a song in it. It was like a channel with just songs on it. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm listening to now. And I'm not even kidding. The ad was 25 minutes long. I was like, oh, Lord. Can we not? Like, why? Yeah. Veronica says, I just pick a color. It doesn't matter what make. Yes. And I think it's great to try different ones too, because I think sometimes you can get different colors from different brands, but also like different sheens. Some of them are more shiny. Some of them are more matte. Yeah, I just think it's cool to, you know, try different ones. Where do you buy Anchor? You can buy it at Lovecrafts. Lovecrafts, it's in America and in England, so you just need to choose like what country, if you know what I mean. So normally I save the outline until the very end and just do it all at once and just like bang it all out. So like normally I would do all one color. So I'd fill in all the ones I want that color all at the same time, because then you don't have to keep switching between the colors of thread. It's a little bit quicker and more efficient. But obviously for this, if I do all one color, it's going to take me like 45 minutes. And then you won't be able to see the next step. So for the tutorials, I'll always just show you all of one, like the whole of one leaf or the whole of one whatever. And then you can do the rest of them on your own because now you know how to do them. So hopefully that makes sense. Let's just do one little half stitch down here. And then we'll do the line down the middle and then the spots, and then we'll be finished for this one. Now, if it's straight down the middle, obviously there's no hump or curve, so you can do it whichever way you want to. If you're not interested in like doing the stem stitch, you could just do one big long one down the middle. That's okay too. Or you could go back and do the stem stitch. Now, one thing that I didn't say at the very tip, which I do want to add, is that because we just went down here at the tip, you can see just here, when we start the stem stitch, we always start it at the very bottom. But because we've gone down here at the bottom, we can't go back up or it will take out the stitch that we've just done. Okay, so one thing that I always do is just come up on the other side and down on the other side, and it's exactly the same. Can you see what I'm talking about? So you're gonna come up here, come down here, and then you can continue in the middle. And we're just splitting this right down the center. Make a happy little leaf. Uh-oh. Shut up, Tori. This leaf is amazing. Charlie's like my #1 hype woman. She's like, yes, let's get it. You guys are always so supportive. It like blows me away every single time. Okay, so don't forget we got that little half stitch, and then down here, we'll just do a straight line like that. You can split it if you want to and make it a stem stitch, but honestly, if it's so short, it probably isn't going to matter that much. So let's flip it over, do our knot on the back. I got a couple messages yesterday about how do I get the knot so close to the fabric without doing the needle method that I showed yesterday. So I just do a big loop, okay? But hold the thread down here, hold it, and when you pull it, I just push my thumb and make it push it down all the way to the bottom. So I forgot to show that earlier. Okay, and then let's see here. Should I do the pink? Add a little bit of pink to it? I think I'm going to. And we don't need a lot for this one. And if you want to have really thick ones, then we're just going to go over it a couple times. So I'm going to use 3 strands. And the other question I get asked a lot is, how do you know how many strands? Like, why did you use 3 strands for the middle part and only 2 strands for the outline? And that's because I want the outline to be thinner than the actual leaf. I want it to just be like a small outline and not like bam, you know? So it's almost like when you use thin tip markers and the skinny markers, you know? Thin tip and skinny. Ugh. Thin tip and wide tip, you know? Sometimes you can color something in with the wide tip and then you can just use the thin tip to outline. That's literally what we've done. So if you want to fill it in, I've just made a mess. Ugh. So if you want to fill it in nice and thick, then you can use like even just one more strand. Make such a difference, you know? Okay, let's get my other needle here. And if you haven't thrown the actual paper pattern away, you can almost use that, oops, there's 2 there, as a little grid. Mel says, I was totally agreeing with you on the thin and skinny. It's not my fault. I swear it's not my fault. Ridiculous. I say it so convincingly that you're like, yes, I agree. And then you're like, hold on. Oh. Okay, so what I'm saying here is that you can almost use it as a grid if you really want to have the exact same ones, but it doesn't really matter. Like, you can notice that I didn't even do the dots on here. I literally just did the big ones, and just, you know, left it. So it just depends on how you want it to look. You can add more if you want it to look more spotty, or less if you want it to look less spotty. Obviously, it's obvious, okay? But some people, they're like, oh, I just couldn't fit that many in. I just feel so bad. And I'm like, you don't have to put 15 in just because I put 15 in, you know? Make it your own. Do your own thing. So all we're going to do is do some straight stitches, but we're going to do a couple of them on top of each other to make it look like a little bit humped up. So I'm using 3 strands of that pink. And obviously, if you want a longer stitch, it's going to make a bigger oval or a bigger colored block or whatever, however you want to say it. I wanted to say hole, but they're not actually holes, are they? Because they're a different color than the background. Now, could I just do 6 strands here and not split it and just do some big ones? Of course. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. Like, it's okay. Don't second guess yourself. You should trust your teacher, right? Just go along with everything. It's fine. Now, I actually was experimenting with some bullion knots on this, but I still cannot get over the fact that they just look like maggots to me. So I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. So if you want to do a little bit of experimenting and do something different than what I'm doing, of course you can. Could you do French knots for this? Of course you can. Like, it just depends on how you want it to look. Someone's asked, let me just scroll up a minute. Do you use other art mediums? I do. So yeah, like oftentimes I'll do painting or work on my iPad. I've done like wall hangings, like weavings before. Just depends on what I feel like doing. So I love to experiment. Calligraphy, I've done that. Now, the other thing you could do is, obviously this color is a little bit light for this side. You could also use a darker color on this other side if you're like, well, that's pointless because you can't even see it. So, you know, you could use 2 different colors. So where's that other one I showed you earlier? Like, I could use this kind of darker pink on this side. Get off of there. You know, if you really want to like swap them, I might do that actually. Because there's really no point in doing a bunch of little ones if you cannot see. And yes, Hannah, the little bug, yeah. Just don't look up pictures of maggots, okay? Just don't do it. I did that once because one of my friends was researching for a book that she was writing. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll do some research with you. Don't do it. Do not do it. But yeah, I can't get over it. They just look like those little bugs to me, and I can't. Ugh. Ugh. Gross. I think I say it every single stitch along. Someone's like, do you ever teach those? And I'm like, oh, no. Because I can't stand to put them in. I'm so bad. Oops. And you don't need many dots. Like, it just depends on how many you want to put in. Like, if you like a lot, put a lot. If you don't, then don't. I'm going to do the darker color on the other side, and then I will call it a day. I'll end up doing the rest whilst I'm watching Love Island later. This might be a bit too bright, but I've already got it out, so maybe I could do that one. The other thing I always say is keep all your little scraps. So let's see here. This is my scrap jar that I'm like working with right now. It's just a little like mason jar or whatever. And I pull it out. And oftentimes, instead of cutting a really small piece of this, you can find one that's a little bit similar and just do that, you know? So it doesn't always have to be like exactly the right color. That's perfect. So if you keep them all, you can use them on the details. And yeah, I tend to do that. But I go a little bit OTT with it. So I've got like whole bags of like separate them into colors and everything. So if this is like the bag of all my scraps, and like I just keep them all. So where'd that pink? Oh, here it is. Dropped it on the floor, didn't I? Sorry in advance, but I was thinking of doing the bouillon knot and French knots for the spots. It's totally fine. We've got a whole French knot day later, so that's the only reason I didn't do them today for the spots, for French knots. But if you want to do it, do it. But every time I look at them, like on my own work, I think it's because they're so humped up, but they look just like them. Can't get it out of my head. And we'll just cover this one up. Oh, that's way better, isn't it? Might go for little lazy daisies. Do it. It could be so cute. Ugh. Just try. I mean, like, the worst thing that happens is that you'll have to snip it out because you don't like it. That's fine. Definitely get some tweezers. So if you remember at the very first video, I suggested getting some tweezers that are just for embroidery. So mine are just regular Revlon, like, there we are. They're just regular tweezers that you buy at the like Boots or Sainsbury's or wherever. The other thing you can get is a seam ripper. I'm pretty sure I threw mine away because I tried to rip the seam out and cut the fabric, and I think I got upset. That sounds like me. Catch you later. Bye. Have a good day. Yeah, I think I've probably thrown mine out. So be careful if you're using a seam ripper, if you're gonna, you know, cut them out with a seam ripper. I swear, I'm sure it's somewhere. But what happens is you put the little hook, it's like kind of like this, and this right here is where the razor blade is. So you put the little hook underneath your stitch, and then you push it through, and the razor blade here will cut it. But the problem is that if you go too hard, then the hook is really pointy and it pokes everything else and it just rips everything. So just be a little bit aware, because I cannot tell you how many times I've cried over accidentally ripping out like so much stuff and then having to be like, I have to start all over again. Oh, this looks so cute. I love it. Okay, let's zoom out and see what we've done today. Ta-da! This is what we've got. So imagine 4 more. All filled up. So I'll try and finish that today and post a little picture of this corner so that you can see what it looks like. But I think it's going to look so good. So yeah, that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to tag me in your stories, or if you post it on your grid, tag me. And I'll repost as many as I can, as always. I always love the stitch along, but I'm always afraid that people are like, oh, it's a stitch along, so all her stories are just going to be reposted of other people's work. But you know what? I don't care, because I'm so proud of every single one of you that I'm like, yes, look, show me more. So I hope you guys have a great day. Like I said, it's Tuesday, so there we go. And yeah, use the hashtag TheBarbieFoxSAL. And then you can have a little scroll and see everyone's work. So enjoy, and I'll speak with you later. Bye!